This man is so exhausting. Hello, my fam. Perez here, the queen of all media, the original influencer, Anglophile, and royal watcher. As I have been chronicling, the former His Royal Highness Prince Harry suffered a devastating blow today. A 3-judge appeals court in London determined that he is not entitled to royal protection round the clock when he's in the UK. He can still have access to it. He just wants it all the time when he's there. How it stands, he can get it. He just needs to ask for it, and it's determined on a case-by-case basis. He's not happy with that result, but he's tired of fighting. He's tired of fighting, and he wants to reconcile with his family, which he told us all in an explosive BBC interview. Literally, after the legal loss, he sat down in California to chat with the BBC. My dad could have fixed this all, but I forgive him, and I want to reconcile. I don't know how much he has to live. Bless his heart. I added the bless his heart part. King Charles is battling cancer, and his son is a thorn on his side. Well, I think he had more than enough to say in that BBC interview, but nope, he was not done. The Duke of Montecito just took to his website, sussex.com, to say the following. I want to start by thanking my legal team and the Court of Appeals judges for their time and expertise in unraveling this issue that stemmed from the previous government. It's clear that he thinks he wasn't his best self in the BBC interview, so he wanted some very smart people to write something for him. The statement continues. This process has only ever been about ensuring my safety and that of my immediate family when we are in the United Kingdom, so that we may safely visit my home country with the same level of security that other governments deem necessary for our protection. That's what it's all about. Ego. My ask has been simple, says Harry, that the standard protocols for security and risk assessments be applied to me in the same way they are to others, including people who have never carried out any public functions on behalf of the state. The court's ruling confirms that the Executive Committee for the Protection of Royalty and Public Figures, known as RAVIC, and comprised of senior officials from the royal household, Home Office, and Metropolitan Police, has failed to follow its own mandated process for me, which are applied to all other high-risk and high-profile individuals. Given my profound concerns over this issue, I will be writing to the Home Secretary to ask her to urgently examine the matter and review the RAVIC process. This legal action has been a last resort, but one that has uncovered shocking truths, starting with the fact that the royal household are key decision makers on RAVIC and my sole representation for matters regarding my safety. You would think the royal household would have your safety as the utmost priority. No, he says, they don't. In this process, I've also learned the names of all those involved, many of whom retired immediately after playing their part. In November 2017, before the royal household's role on RAVIC was known, this secretive committee concluded that when my wife would join the royal family, she should not receive protection. Only when I asked for the name of the person willing to carry that risk did they reverse the decision. Whoa. So he's saying they've always had it out for her. In 2020, Ravik refused for the first time to conduct the required annual risk, threat, and impact assessment that their own policies demand. The intention of this assessment is to be objective and free from bias and interference to confirm the security required. The result was stripping me of the protection I've had since birth, whilst signaling to all other governments to do the same. This reckless action knowingly put me and my family in harm's way. Life is precious, and I understand the fragility of it. Throughout 2020 and 2021, I attempted to resolve this issue privately, even offering to independently cover the costs of necessary and effective police protection in order to keep me and my family safe. No one responded directly to me about my offer when I made it, and even though I challenged the refusal to let me pay, my legal claim failed. To this present day, the royal household remain my sole representation on Ravik for every visit and could call for this assessment to be done at any point. The only possible conclusion that can be drawn is they choose not to because they know the outcome would prove that my security should never have been removed in the first place. In recent years, my family and I have been subjected to well-documented neo, N to the A to the Z to the I, and extremist threats, including from Al, Qaeda. There are individuals in prison on UK soil because of such threats. And yet, since 2019, a proper risk assessment has not been conducted. This is not only a deviation from standard practice, it is a dereliction of duty. The stark difference is I was born into lifelong circumstances that create inherent security risks. My decade of military service, particularly 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan, as well as social and tabloid media frenzy, have only intensified those threats. Uncovering how my immediate family's safety was knowingly put at risk, as well as who was behind it and who sanctioned it, has been truly devastating. No matter where we may agree or disagree, I would never wish harm on anyone. These legal proceedings have revealed to me that this basic duty of care was not and is not applied to me. It's true that I have been treated as an exception on this issue. The conditions of my security were not made based on threat, risk, and impact. They were made based on my role, one that my wife and I wanted to maintain, but that was ultimately refused. Ravik's ability to make decisions outside of its own policies and the so-called political sensitivities of my case have prevailed over the need for fair and consistent decision-making. The court has decided to defer to this, revealing a sad truth. My hands are tied in seeking legal recourse against the establishment. This all comes from the same institutions that preyed upon my mother, that openly campaigned for the removal of our security, and that continue to incite hatred towards me, my wife, and even our children, while at the same time protecting the very power that they should be holding accountable. The UK is my birthplace and will always be part of who I am. It is a place I love and the country where my son was born. I've only ever wanted to continue my charitable work in supporting the causes and people that mean so much to me, and for my children to know the beauty of my homeland. I remain committed to a life of public service. This has been and will always be my life's work. And when you strip away the noise, you'll be able to hear all I've been asking for is safety. I do have a lot of compassion for him. Princess Diana's death did a real number on him at a young and impressionable age. And here at the very end of Harry's statement, it says, Prince Harry sat down exclusively with the BBC to discuss today's judicial review ruling, and they included a link to his explosive interview. So, he said a lot. What are your thoughts on his very lengthy statement? Share them and let's discuss in the comment section.